You know, just when you think you've got a handle on the sporting world, something comes along and really, well, it makes you take notice. For cricket fans, that moment arrived May 12th, 2025. Virat Kohli, after what, 14 years?
14 phenomenal years.
In the toughest format, calls time on his Test career. It's a decision that still feels, I don't know, a little surreal.
It really does. I mean, we're talking about Virat Kohli, not just one of India's best, but a global figure.
Absolutely.
And his commitment, his passion for Test cricket, that was almost his defining feature, wasn't it? So yeah, the timing, the suddenness maybe, it's definitely got people talking.
For sure. So in this deep dive, we want to go beyond just the headlines. We're aiming to really get under the skin of Kohli's Test journey.
Right.
Understand the retirement itself, you know, explore the potential reasons behind it, and look at the reactions because they've been huge.
Absolutely huge.
Our goal is to give you, our listener, a clear, insightful take on what's a truly massive event in cricket. Okay, let's really unpack this. His Test career. Where do we even start? The impact was immense.
Well, maybe start with the basics, the stats. But with Kohli, there are more than just numbers, aren't they? They tell a story.
Okay.
He debuted back in 2011 against the West Indies, played 123 tests, 210 innings,
right,
and racked up 9,230 runs, the average, 46.85. That speaks volumes about his consistency over such a long time.
And those runs came with serious weight. We're talking 30 centuries, 31 50s, and that massive 284 not out. Those figures put him right up there with the greats, but his impact went way beyond just his own batting, didn't it? His captaincy. That's a whole other story.
Oh, absolutely. India's most successful Test captain, bar none. He led them in 68 tests.
Yeah, 68.
And won 40 of them. 40. Think about that. Under him, India hit #1 of the world, won that first ever series in Australia, 2018-19.
Yeah, it felt huge.
It was huge. It wasn't just winning. It was about, asserting dominance globally.
That Aussie series win. Yeah, a real turning point. And it wasn't just at home he was good. His away record is pretty special, too.
It really is. Nearly 5,000 runs away from home, 4,894 runs in 68 away tests.
Wow.
Averaging over 41, which is very solid overseas. And crucially, 16 centuries on foreign soil.
16.
His record down under in Australia, just remarkable. Over 1,500 runs in 18 matches there, 700s. Shows you he could handle the toughest conditions against the best.
There was that stretch, wasn't there? Maybe like 2016 to 2019. He just seemed, well, unbeatable.
Oh, that was his peak. Absolutely his zenith in tests. In just 43 matches then, he scored, wait for it, 4,208 runs.
Get out.
At an average of nearly 67. 16 centuries in that time frame alone.
16.
2018 was his best year, over 1,300 runs in 13 games. It was just sheer dominance, maybe peak fitness, mental focus, knowing his game inside out. It all just clicked.
Totally dominant. And when you look at where he stands among all Indian Test players, he's right up there.
He is. 4th highest run scorer for India in Tests. Only Tendulkar, Dravid, Gavaskar ahead of him.
Wow. Legends.
Absolute legends.
Yeah.
And like you said, captaining that first win in Australia, massive legacy point. Plus, ICC Test Cricketer of the Year in 2018. That seals it, really.
Beyond the numbers, though, it was the way he played, that aggression, that intensity, like a general on the battlefield, someone called him. What effect did that have?
That's a great description. His batting, those cover drives, but also that fierce energy in the field, it set the tone.
Yeah.
He wasn't just scoring runs, he was imposing himself. And importantly, especially with T20 booming, he made Test cricket cool again in India. He championed it.
He really did. You saw it in the team, the fitness, the discipline, the absolute belief that Test cricket was the pinnacle.
Exactly.
I remember hearing a commentator say Test cricket would be blander without him. That kind of sums it up, right? The entertainment, the fight.
It does. He had that star quality, that dynamism. But, like any long career, there were challenges too, especially near the end.
Right. The stats did dip a bit in the last few years compared to that peak. How much do you think that played into his decision?
It's surely a factor you have to consider. Look, the last 5 years, his average did drop below 50. Only 200 since 2020.
Okay.
And that last series in Australia, 24-25, that was tough. Just 190 runs, averaging under 24. His worst ever in Australia.
Ouch!
So, while the career overall is stellar, that recent trend, it'll likely weigh on his mind.
And he'd faced tough times before, off the field, too. He spoke about that, didn't he?
He did, very openly. About depression during the 2014 England tour. credited Sachin Tendulkar with helping him through.
Right.
It's a reminder, isn't it? The pressure these guys are under.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift to the announcement. May 12th, 2025. An Instagram post. Very emotional, very personal. That felt different.
It did. And signing off hashtag 269, his test cap number, that was a nice touch. Tied it all back to the beginning.
Yeah.
The words he used, you could feel the weight of it, the emotion.
He talked about the 14 years, the quiet grind, the long days, all that stuff behind the scenes. Said it wasn't sudden, but it feels right. Lots of gratitude in there, too.
Absolutely. Gratitude for the game, teammates, fans. Said he walked away with a heart full of gratitude, would always cherish his test career. Very reflective.
The timing, though. Right after losing the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and just days after Rohit Sharma also retired from tests. Did that context matter?
It certainly adds to the narrative.
Yeah.
And there were those reports before the announcement, right? Saying he'd told the BCCI back in April 2025.
Ah, okay.
So maybe not as sudden as it felt publicly. Seems like it was brewing for a bit.
So let's dig into those potential reasons. Why now? We've heard a few things floated. Family seems like a big one.
Yeah, family priorities seem pretty high on the list. Wanting more time with Anushka and the kids, Vamika and Akaya. That comes through strongly in reports. And then there's that reported issue with the BCCI's family travel policy on tours.
Right, I saw that. Like only 2 weeks allowed with family on a 45-day tour unless you got special permission.
Exactly. And for someone with young kids, trying to juggle that, you can see how that might become a major point of frustration. Reports suggest it really bothered him, especially around the Champions Trophy in 2025.
Okay.
He apparently told the chief selector, Ajit Agarkar, back in April about wanting to prioritize family more. Plus, the frequent trips to London where they have a base. It all points that way.
Okay. And then there's the form discussion. His legacy is rock solid, obviously, but could the recent dip have pushed him?
It's definitely plausible. He'd know his numbers weren't where they used to be in tests. Average dropping.
Yeah.
And some reports even whispered, that maybe the BCCI hinted his spot wasn't absolutely guaranteed anymore. Especially with younger guys like Shubman Gill coming through strongly.
Right, which leads to that idea of timing it strategically, stepping down before the big England series, going out on his own terms, protecting that legacy.
Exactly. There was that quote, wasn't there? About wanting to retire, with the crowd still wanting more.
Yeah, I read that.
It's just a very conscious decision about how he wanted his test story to end. Not fading away.
And the BCCI angle. Seemed like mixed signals there about whether they wanted him to stay or not.
That's true. Some early reports said they urged him to continue. But later ones suggested maybe they didn't push that hard to keep him. Perhaps signaling he wasn't central to the future test plans. The Indian Express even hinted at some palace intrigue with younger players, but that felt very speculative.
Right. And finally, just personal reflection. A feeling it was time. His posts sounded very introspective.
It really did. Saying the decision felt right inside, even though it was hard. That suggests deep thought.
Yeah.
And then that visit to Vrindavan with Anushka, right after the announcement, to see Pramanand Maharaj, that points towards seeking peace, maybe closure.
Okay.
Plus his comments earlier during the IPL about cricket's meaning changing for him, getting spiritual input. It all suggests a shift in perspective.
It's a lot of potential factors, isn't it? Okay, let's talk reactions. Because the cricketing world, the fans, they definitely had things to say.
Oh, the reaction was immense.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly respectful, full of admiration, but also, a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Cricketers, past and present, weigh in. Sachin Tendulkar congratulated him on a very special test career, highlighted his impact.
Nice.
Gautam Gambhir acknowledged that passion, called him King Kohli. Jasprit Bumrah wrote a really heartwarming note.
Saw that. And guys who played with him, Pant, Pujara, Mayank Agarwal, they all talk about his passion, how inspirational he was in the dressing room.
Yeah. Akash Chopra even called him the greatest Indian cricketer of all times. That stirred up some debate.
I bet.
Yusuf Pathan, Mushfiqur Rahim from Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Congratulations came from everywhere, showing that global respect. Dinesh Karthik called him pivotal for Test cricket's health.
Right.
But Anil Kumble voiced what many fans felt disappointment this day. It wasn't a proper on-field send-off for him and Rohit.
Yeah, that felt a bit strange. And the international media really picked up on the significance, too.
They did. The New York Times wrote about him captivating a billion dreams, even suggesting he helped save Test cricket.
Wow. High praise.
News.com.au in Australia called it, along with Rohit's retirement, a major gut punch for India before the England tour. The Telegraph in the UK, a grave blow to the format, crediting him with reviving it.
Even the Daily Mail called it a dark day for cricket, especially for England, saying they'd miss competing against him.
Right. And Mike Atherton in the Times put him among the most charismatic cricketers ever. Really stresses his global impact.
It does. And the fans, the reaction was just pure emotion, wasn't it?
Totally. Heartbreak, loss. People calling him the spirit of Test cricket. Social media just exploded. Virat Kohli's legacy in Test cricket is unmatched. That sentiment was everywhere.
Yeah.
Even that streamer, iShowSpeed. His reaction went viral. Kind of captured that raw fan emotion.
Yeah, I saw that clip. And Bollywood stars too. Sahiba Bali, Apar Shakti, Khurrana shows his reach. And of course, Anushka Sharma's message.
That was lovely. Very personal. Talked about his evolution, the wisdom he gained. Said she always imagined him retiring in whites, but fully supported his decision. Immense pride and love there.
And the BCCI, they put out a statement praising him, but there was still some chatter about their role, their policies.
Yeah, the official statement lauded his career, leadership, commitment, all the right things. But those earlier reports about family travel rules, maybe not trying too hard to keep him, that did lead to some questions, some debate online and among analysts.
So looking forward now, what does this mean? For Test cricket generally, and for India?
Well, for Test cricket globally,
Yeah.
it's a big loss. He was such a huge ambassador for the format, passionate, vocal.
Definitely.
There's a real worry, will its appeal dip without his star power? Without that intensity he brought? Hopefully his legacy inspires the next generation, but
Yeah.
the Telegraph made a point. His and Rohit's exit might dim Test cricket's allure, especially in India itself. It's a valid concern.
And for Team India, this feels like a major transition. Kohli, Rohit, Ashwin, all moving on around the same time.
Yeah.
End of an era.
Exactly. Big gaps in leadership and batting experience, especially heading into that tough England series. Yes, they have talented youngsters like Gill, but replacing Kohli's runs, his presence, his aura, that's tough. India might still do okay in England. They have depth, but the emotional loss, the strategic loss, that's significant.
So what's next for Kohli himself? Is he done with cricket entirely?
No. He's made it clear he'll keep playing ODIs for India and definitely the IPL for Royal Challengers Bengaluru.
Okay.
He already retired from T20 internationals after the World Cup win last year.
Right.
Reports suggest he might spend more time in London, pointing back to that family focus. And his spiritual side seems increasingly important too, judging by the Vrindavan visit and recent comments. Personal growth seems key now.
There were just a few other little things, weren't there? Questions that lingered.
Yeah, like the BCCI's exact stance, those family travel rules. His former coach, Sardeep Singh, said Kohli was prepping hard for England, making the timing seem sudden to him, sparking speculation. And the lack of that on-field farewell, as Kumbi noted. Plus, Michael Clark had said earlier he thought Kohli still had more Test cricket in him. Just adds to the feeling that maybe it was sooner than some expected.
And just to round things out, beyond cricket, he's just a massive figure, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Global icon, family man now, with Anushka and the kids clearly central. Huge wealth from cricket, endorsements, IPL, massive social media following, hundreds of millions.
Incredible.
Gives him a huge platform. And as we said, that growing spiritual focus seems quite prominent now too.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it really is the end of a massive chapter in cricket. Virat Kohli stepping away from tests.
It is. The runs, the hundreds, the captaincy, he reshaped Indian Test cricket. His passion for the format was undeniable, vital for its health.
And the reasons. Likely a mix, right? Family, maybe form, the BCCI dynamic perhaps, and just personal reflection telling him it was time.
It seems that way. A complex decision, likely. And the reactions we saw from players, fans worldwide, they just underline the huge impact he had. His legacy as a Test great is absolutely cemented.
Absolutely. And that leaves us with a final thought for you, our listener. In this fast-changing sports world, what does Kohli's retirement signal about Test cricket's future? And what about that balancing act for top athletes, the intense career versus personal life? What part of Kohli's Test career will stick with you most, and how will his influence continue to echo in the game? Some big questions to think about.